Single dad took a drunk CEO home, not knowing she was his late wife's sister. Ethan Cole had learned long ago that grief never truly left. It simply changed shape. Some days, it sat quietly beside him while he packed lunches for his 8-year-old daughter. Other days, it followed him through grocery store aisles, whispering reminders of the life he had lost. But on that bright summer afternoon, standing in a crowded parking lot beneath the warm daylight, he had no idea that a single act of kindness would unravel the biggest secret of his life. He didn't know that the exhausted woman slumped against the back seat of a luxury car would bring him face to face with his late wife's hidden past. He didn't know that by helping a stranger get home, he would reopen wounds he had spent years trying to heal. And he certainly didn't know that the woman everyone knew as a powerful CEO carried a connection to his family that would change everything forever. Before we begin this unforgettable story, if you believe that kindness and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video. Comment below where you're watching from. Share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Secret CEO Stories for more emotional journeys that stay with you long after the ending. Ethan had been raising his daughter, Lily, alone for 6 years. Since losing his wife, Amelia, to a sudden illness, his world had narrowed into simple routines. Mornings were school breakfasts and mismatched socks. Afternoons were construction shifts under the blazing sun. Evenings belonged to homework, bedtime stories, and the quiet ache of missing someone who had once filled every corner of their small home with laughter. Life wasn't glamorous. The single father lived modestly in a peaceful coastal town where everyone knew each other's names. He had traded dreams of adventure for stability because Lily needed consistency more than she needed grand promises. Yet, despite his heartbreak, Ethan remained kind. It was a quality Amelia had loved most about him. That afternoon, after finishing an early shift, Ethan stopped near an upscale hotel to pick up supplies for a community renovation project. The elegant entrance buzzed with expensive cars and sharply dressed guests. Then he noticed her. A woman in a deep burgundy dress stumbled near the curb. She appeared disoriented. Her makeup had smudged slightly beneath tired eyes. Golden hair fell across her shoulders as she struggled to maintain balance. People passed by, pretending not to notice. Some glanced. Others whispered. No one stopped. Ethan hesitated. The woman looked out of place, dressed in obvious luxury, yet carrying an expression of devastating exhaustion. She wasn't reckless. She looked broken. Approaching carefully, Ethan asked if she was all right. The woman tried to answer, but her words blended together. It became clear she had been drinking heavily, though something deeper lingered beneath the surface. Pain, fear, loneliness. After checking her designer purse for emergency information, Ethan discovered identification. Her name was Vivian Hart, CEO of Hart Global Enterprises. One of the youngest and most respected business leaders in the country. The realization surprised him. What was someone like her doing alone? Unable to leave her vulnerable and abandoned, Ethan contacted the address listed with her information. When no one answered repeated calls, he made a decision. He drove her home. The Hart estate overlooked the coastline from atop dramatic cliffs. The mansion stood like something from another world, elegant and intimidating beneath the afternoon sunlight. As Ethan supported Vivian toward the entrance, the heavy front door opened. An older woman froze. Shock overtook her face. Her hand flew to her chest. Tears immediately filled her eyes. For several seconds, no one moved. The woman stared directly at Ethan. Her expression shifted from disbelief to grief, so profound it stole the air from the moment. Ethan frowned. He had never met her before. Yet she looked at him as though she'd seen a ghost. Everything changed when her trembling gaze drifted toward the silver necklace hanging beneath Ethan's shirt. It had belonged to Amelia. The older woman's knees nearly buckled. Years of carefully buried secrets threatened to surface all at once. Evelyn Hart had spent decades protecting her family from painful truths. 6 years earlier, her youngest daughter Amelia had disappeared from her privileged world to build a life of love far away from wealth and expectations. The separation had shattered the family. Pride had created distance. Harsh words had gone unanswered. Then tragedy struck. Before reconciliation could happen, Amelia died. And now, standing on the doorstep beside Vivian Hart, was Ethan, the husband they had never met, the father of the granddaughter they had never known existed. Vivian slowly regained awareness over the following hours. Fragments of memory returned. She remembered a failed merger meeting, the overwhelming pressure, the loneliness of success, the anniversary of losing the sister she'd loved deeply, the sister who had vanished years before. When Evelyn finally revealed the truth, silence filled the mansion. Vivian stared at Ethan, then tears slipped down her face. Amelia, her sister, the adventurous younger sibling who had loved too fiercely and refused to sacrifice happiness for status, the sister she'd searched for, the sister she'd never stopped missing. Gone, yet somehow still present through Ethan and Lily. The revelation shattered everyone. Ethan felt betrayed by fate. Amelia had never spoken much about her estranged family, only vague stories, painful memories, broken relationships she wasn't ready to revisit. He had respected her boundaries. Now he understood the depth of her silence. Vivian struggled with guilt. While she had built billion-dollar companies and graced magazine covers, her own sister had faced illness without family support. She had not been there. No amount of wealth could change that. Days passed. Then came the question no one knew how to answer. What happened next? Lily became the bridge neither family expected. Curious and compassionate, she listened carefully as Evelyn shared stories about Amelia's childhood. Stories Ethan had never heard. Amelia dancing barefoot in summer gardens. Amelia sneaking pastries before dinner. Amelia dreaming of seeing the world. Lily laughed at discovering similarities between herself and the grandmother she'd never known. The mansion that once felt cold gradually transformed. Walls built by pride began to crack. Vivian visited Ethan's modest home. She saw the life her sister had chosen. She saw photographs covering refrigerator doors, handmade birthday decorations, school art projects, love existing without extravagance. For perhaps the first time in years, the CEO questioned everything she'd prioritized. Successes had earned admiration, but not connection. Boardrooms applauded her achievements. Yet they hadn't sat beside her during sleepless nights. Ethan noticed changes in Vivian too. Beneath her polished exterior was a woman exhausted by expectations. She carried responsibility for thousands of employees. She feared disappointing everyone. She masked loneliness with perfection. The woman he'd first assumed had everything actually possessed very little peace. Healing wasn't immediate. Grief rarely moved neatly. There were awkward conversations, moments of resentment, questions impossible to answer. Why hadn't Amelia